The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all, and welcome to the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. And we're coming to you tonight around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, and of course, Channel 54 on Simul TV. It is Christmas. Let me see. Today is the 15th, so 9 days from tonight, children around the world who celebrate Christmas will not be able to go to sleep in anticipation of that big guy dropping on their ceiling of their house or the roof of their house with those 8 tiny little reindeer. And I've ever seen a picture of a reindeer. Those damn things aren't small at all. They're pretty darn big. Anyway, so they're going to be up all night driving mom and dad crazy, who are waiting to help Santa Claus. And you know, it kind of makes me wonder. Here we have a man who plies little kids with toys. And what do? Mom and dad allow this guy to break and enter into the house, crawl around the house, throw things under the Christmas tree. I should say, put presents under the Christmas tree. And then this guy, Santa Claus, he kind of munches on whatever he can find, whatever's been left out for him to have. And then away he goes. I wonder if Santa Claus one time was a Catholic priest. Got to check that out. Anyway, joining me now to help me unravel the mysteries around Christmas and the true meaning of Christmas is a young lady who lives up in the Colorado mountains, where Christmas trees and reindeer are all around the place. And joining me now is the host of Mission Evolution, the one and only Gwilda Wiyaka. And hey, Merry Christmas to you, partner.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Rob.
So do you think Santa Claus was a Catholic priest at one time?
Oh, Robert.
What? Well, he does like little children.
That he does.
You know, we send our kids mixed messages because we take them to the malls to sit on a stranger's lap. Why? Because if you do this, he's going to bring you a present.
I never thought of it that way.
Well, of course, you're not warped like I am. But anyway, I got to tell you a story, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on 32 years doing this show, or 33 years. When I was a kid, my mom used to write our names and our addresses and drop them off at Eaton's, and you'd get a letter from Santa Claus. You know, that was pretty nice. So what I decided to do one year was to electronically come up, make a database, and invited children to write. All they needed to do was give me their email address, and they would get a letter from Santa Claus. And of course, the software would recognize a boy's name, a girl's name, and it would change all the wording from if you've been a good little boy or if you've been a good little girl, blah, blah, blah. And of course, if in the letter, the little girl or boy asked for mommy and daddy to get back together again, there was a special algorithm that would take care of that as well. Anyway, I did this, and one day I got a call from the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, saying that they had a complaint from a radio station in the Maritimes about me having been in radio writing letters to children from Santa Claus, and they wanted to know if there was anything nefarious on why I was doing it. And then, you know what? I gave them the entire thing. The officer was very nice. He said, we'll get back to you in a few days. You know, about 30 minutes later, he got back to me and he said, sorry, but, you know, we do have to investigate these complaints. From that moment on, I never wrote another letter from Santa Claus. Never.
I can see why.
Yeah, it doesn't pay to be nice, and yet the Catholic priests get away with it all the time.
You're
What?
on a rip tonight, aren't you?
I'm getting ripped. No, I'm not. I'm sober. So, what do you do at Christmas time? Like you and I have been friends for years, and I don't think I've ever asked you at this time of year how you celebrate Christmas. Oh, wait a minute. You told me that last time that you had Christmas tree lights on a solar panel, right?
Yeah, I have a little solar panel.
Mm-hmm.
It's cute. It's like a miniature of the big ones because I'm off grid.
Right.
And it has Christmas lights attached to it. I set it outside and string the lights around the porch. And that way I have Christmas lights, even though, like I said, I'm off grid and couldn't use the electricity otherwise. So I let the sun charge it during the day and we have pretty lights at night.
And of course, there's a lot of wildlife where you live as well. And I get a kick out of this thing about the story about Santa Claus, 8 tiny reindeer. Now, as far as I know, the entire thing about Santa Claus originates in Scandinavia and because of just below the Arctic Circle. And those reindeers aren't small. Those suckers are big up there. Like, we're not talking about little Bambis. We're talking about mothers who are big. Mind you, they wow, I guess they must be big in order to pull that big fat guy in the red suit all over Hell's Green Acres in one night. Did I ever tell you how the angel got to be on top of the Christmas tree?
No.
Okay. Well, as you know, it's very busy up at the North Pole, especially this time of year. And everybody was working hard. The elves were working hard. They were feeding the reindeer, getting the sleigh ready for the trip, and this little angel keeps on saying, Santa, 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 is there something I can do? And Santa says, no, little angel, no, we're all too busy. Go ask Mrs. Santa Claus. So the little angel goes, Mrs. Santa Claus, Mrs. Santa Claus, is there anything I can do to help you out? I really want help. And Mrs. Santa Claus said, no, there isn't. Go ask the senior elf. So she goes over and she says, senior elf, is there anything I can do for you? Is there, huh? And he said, well, no, little angel, go back and see Santa Claus. So she says, okay. And on her way over, she finds a Christmas tree. And she drags that Christmas tree over to Santa Claus and says, Sandy, is there anything I can do for you? Like, well, where do you want me to place this Christmas tree, Santa? And that's how the angel got to the top of the Christmas tree.
I don't think I'll tell my grandchildren that one.
Oh, it wasn't dirty. I did the clean version for radio and TV.
Very nice. I'm proud of you.
All kidding aside, I love Christmas. I love the season. Many, many wonderful memories as a child. It was a time of family. 2 weeks before Christmas, Dad would go take us to the Christmas tree lot, or else we'd go cut down our own Christmas tree, bring it in, put it in the porch on the back balcony. And then 3 days before it went into the living room, it was put in the mud room, I guess you would call it. And then from there, it went into the living room, and we were allowed to help put the Christmas tree lights on. But it was the angels who came with Santa to decorate it. Well, my mother also had this idea that every Christmas Eve, the angels would bring us a new pair of pajamas. Earlier in that year, my mother told me that the angels always came to bring the people who were dying to the other side and up to heaven. So did I want to go and get my Christmas pajamas that Christmas after knowing what the angels were doing? No way in hell. You just got to wonder. No wonder kids are screwed up. Parents do it. Let me see. We've got about 2 minutes left before I have to take a break. What are some of your fondest memories of Christmas?
Well, I think my fondest one was when I was in boarding school, and my folks didn't pay to have me come back to where they were. And so really? I was going to have to stay in a hotel because they're closing the boarding school. And a young Swiss lady that worked there, she asked me, her English was marginal. She said, so what are you going to do for Christmas? And I said, well, I can't go home. So my folks have booked a hotel for me because it's cheaper than flying me back home. She goes, "You're going to be in a hotel alone?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Niet, niet." And I
Good
didn't
for
hardly even
her.
know this gal. And bless her heart, she took me
Mhm.
to her family, shared her bed with me,
Wow.
and because there was just no room, right? It was a very small little cottage-like affair.
Right.
And I had the loveliest Christmas I think I've ever had with strangers. They were just delightful.
That's a wonderful story. Stand by. You and I have to take our first break. Exo Nation, my guest this hour is Gwilda Wiyaka, www.missionevolution.org, and her learning website, findyourpathhome.com. We'll be back after this break. Whatever you do, don't go away. And welcome back. You know, when you were talking about that you were in the boarding school and your parents, didn't want to bring you back home because of the cost, it reminded me of the story of Christmas Carol where Scrooge is left behind in the boarding school. You didn't know that?
Oh, no, I don't remember that part.
Oh, he's, his, let me see if my memories are, all the other kids go home. He's left alone. His sister comes running in and gets him that Papa's changed and he can come home for Christmas. So, wow.
I'll be darned.
Tell me about Christmas. First of all, let's go right back to the very beginning, okay?
Okay.
I mean, way back when. When was Jesus Christ actually born? Because everybody believes it was December the 25th. What's your take on it?
What's really fascinating, I did some research for us because I thought, well, it'd be fun to look into this and see what was really going on, because you're all
Sure.
about truth, right?
Yeah.
This is about finding the truth.
Uh-huh.
So what I found out is the date of his birth is flat not known.
Mhm.
He's not stated in the gospel on any historical sources as to when he was born. And there's not a single passage in the entire Bible where God tells people when Christ was born or to celebrate Christmas.
Hmm.
But most biblical scholars assume his year of birth between 6 and 4 BC. Now, isn't that before Christ? I'm so confused.
He was a premature baby.
He must have been. But yeah, it's not mentioned in the Bible anywhere. So Christmas really isn't necessarily his birthday. They don't even know what year, much less what day and what month and what day.
Well, let me ask you this. Why do we celebrate Christmas on December the 25th then?
Aha, that's an interesting one. Let's see. I looked this one up too. The church in Rome began formally celebrating Christmas on December 25th in 336, the year 336, during the reign of Emperor Constantine, who made Christianity the effective religion of the empire. But what he did is he chose that date, and some have speculated that he did that to disempower the pagan holiday of the winter solstice. But then there's other people that think, and I kind of lean this way, that he did that to get the pagans on deck, because they're not going to change their date, because their date was based on the shortest day of the year.
The solstice.
The solstice.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, they believed it was the 25th. Maybe it was the 25th. Things change up there, right? But now it's the 21st or 22nd, depending on how it falls each year. But yeah, it was the shortest day of the year, and that's when they celebrated they had their solstice celebration. And this wise emperor decided that he'd get them on deck and get more participation if he did it on their holiday.
So it was the Christians who were getting the pagans on deck?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the pagans aren't about to, celebrate the solstice on something outside of the solstice.
Okay, so poor pagans were getting decked all over the place.
The halls, yeah.
Yeah, deck the halls. Cute. You beat me to the punch on that one. Thank you.
No problem. I'm learning.
Yes, you are. So tell us, during your investigation into the traditions of Christmas, can you tell us a bit about where they come from? For example, the Christmas tree. Let's get the Yuletide. What did you find out?
Well, the Christmas tree actually didn't have much of anything to do with Christmas. Let me see if I can find that. It was just amazing. It was it was a tree that was in Germany. It began in Germany. But on the 25th, what they actually celebrated was something that had to do with Adam and Eve, who were sainted by this particular religion. And they would hang red things, including red apples, on the tree to represent the apple and the fall and that sort of thing. So it had really nothing to do with the birth of Christ at all when it originated.
So I wonder if the streamers that are on the roll of the different colored tinsel that's all in one line. I wonder if that represents the snake then.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Food for
Yeah.
thought there, my dear.
Food for thought. Absolutely.
Well, did you find anything else out about traditions?
Yes, like the stockings. Okay,
Mhm.
so that tradition gained the popularity during probably due to Moore's poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, and that was in 1823. But before that, there was a story that was written about a widowed man who was worried he couldn't provide for his daughters. And St. Nicholas came, and the girls had their stockings out to dry by the fireplace, and he stuffed them with gold coin. And so that's kind of what prompted the Moore's visit from St. Nicholas, where he says, unfilling the stockings, then turned with a jerk, laying his finger aside of his nose, up the chimney he rose, that kind of stuff. So they really believe that that's what kind of cemented it. And that was in 1823.
He turned with a jerk. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, that's what it says.
Who writes this stuff? Jesus. Okay. Tell me about Black Friday.
Oh, that is so funny. So the earliest known use of Black Friday was to refer to the day after Thanksgiving, and that use occurred in the Journal Factory Management and Maintenance of November 51 and again in 1952. And here it referred to the practice of workers calling in sick the Friday after Thanksgiving so that they would have a longer weekend. And that's where Black Friday originated.
I thought it might have had something to do with the Black Plague.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that says it was in when I looked
Wow.
it up, like I said, researching, it was 1951, 1952.
No, certainly not in the time of the Black Plague, but well, coal is black too. So
There you go.
yeah, there
Get
you
an
go.
old lump of coal if you're not a good boy.
Tell me about it. So in your opinion, why do you think, or should we rethink Christmas?
Well, of course, I come from, a shamanic background, and so I'm really focused on ceremony, intent, the power of group intent, the power of prayer, that sort of thing, the energetics of it.
Yeah.
And right now, the way Christmas has developed, it's a hodgepodge of traditions that really had nothing to do with Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's also a bunch of lies. They lie about when he was born. They lie about Santa Claus. Okay. They lie about, and now we're being lied to about having to buy all these presents for everybody. It's a marketing ploy.
Oh,
okay.
Tell me about it.
It's a lie. Black Friday's a lie, and it's like, so if we're all getting all hyped up to go elbow everybody else out of the way on Black Friday, okay, so we can get the best deals, where's our intent going? What's the energy being put here? Now, I love Christmas, and I love the thought behind it, and I love Christ.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to celebrate his birth on the 25th. It's a great time. And the reason they picked the 25th originally, the solstice, why it's so important, is because that's the death and rebirth of the sun. So it's the shortest day of the year. And the sun is out the shortest amount of time on that day. And from there forward, then the sun starts gaining power again. And so they considered it the birth of the sun. Get it? Birth of the sun.
Yeah.
So it's the energy is there to support celebrating the birth of Christ, because it's the birth of the Son, Son of God, or the Son. And so if we focus on that and focus on the message that came from him in Mass, instead of Black Friday and getting out there and spending money and buying something this and buying that and getting all stressed out. I mean, the energy that goes on at Christmas now is an abomination from what we really would like it to be, I believe.
It truly is.
We'd like it to be about love. We'd like it to be about the birth of Christ, whether he's ever born or not. It doesn't matter. The energy is there. The mores, the morals, the love, the principles is all there. And if we decide, I don't care which day of the year we decide to do it, if we all focus on that, that's what we're putting out into the world.
Positive energy.
Exactly. But increasingly, it's gotten to be greed and narcissism that floods the ethers, if you will.
Yeah, like I was saying, Christmas when I was a kid, totally different than Christmas of today. It was having the family come down because my grandmother lived with us and she was the head of the family. And it was the uncles, the aunts, the cousins. Even though we lived around each other, we saw each other every day. Christmas was special, really special. And over the years, it changed. It changed for the worse.
It has. It's been getting increasingly polluted from what it was originally designed. And one of my major concerns is we're now being controlled through it. Okay. We're being manipulated and controlled using the principles of Christmas and, the myths of Christmas, but then we're being manipulated and controlled to get into our pockets. And that's an abomination as far as I'm concerned.
It's true. And when we look at the other holidays throughout the year, Valentine's Day, Easter, Christmas in July, these are all things to just get more money out of your pockets.
Exactly.
And in today's electronic age, you don't have to go to the store to get your coffers emptied. You do it online electronically.
Exactly.
God, every time I go down to the mail at home, I shudder to think how many boxes I'm going to be lugging up, thanks to Laura doing all the Christmas shopping for the kids and everything. Now, I don't begrudge the kids. I really don't. Children have the right to believe. Children deserve to believe, because you and I both know that when they get to be a little older and reality sets in, responsibility set in, I hope and pray that every child out there has good times that they can think back to, just like I do at Christmas time.
Yeah, making those memories and having it be about family and not about these massive amounts of gifts and totally distracted with how many gifts I'm going to get. It deteriorated into that, and that's not teaching our children anything good either. But if they can focus more on what they can make or do for others and how they get to see their relatives and what they share there, because that's another thing that the solstice was about, is family gathering together. That was actually a part of the solstice celebration, and the elders sitting around the fire and sharing the stories. And that's what we need more of. That's what's supported at that time, and that goes a long ways, like you say, into a person's life, having those kind of memories and that kind of knowledge from our ancestors and our elders to carry us through our lives.
That is so true. It seems that society is hell-bent on taking as much money out of your pocket as they can by any means whatsoever. I always believed that at Christmas time, the Christmas spirit was out there, and that people dug deeper into their pockets to give to the less fortunate. The Salvation Army does a great job, their little kettles around. But even though, now the food banks, they advertise on what they would like you to bring.
Yeah, I know it.
I have all the compassion at times of a gnat. But there are times, especially around Christmas, the Christmas spirit grabs me and it's like, oh,
That's when you turn into a big warm teddy bear, right?
And now you sound like my kids. You and I have to take our mid-break. Gwilda Wiyaka is our guest. www.findyourpathhome.com and www.missionevolution.org. Gwilda's show airs weekly on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And to listen to her past shows or listen to her live shows, visit www.xzbn.net. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Whatever you do, don't go away, because there's plenty more to come. And we're back. Ho, 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 bah humbug.
You're not humbugging on me again already, are you?
Oh, yeah. I was talked out of opening up my bah humbug store this year. I really think that society in whole should take a good look at itself and reevaluate the way that we celebrate holidays.
Take the power back, because we're being manipulated through holidays.
Yes, we are.
We're being. I remember sitting at a table with. These weren't people I knew very well, but I was invited to Thanksgiving with them because I was with a friend.
Yeah.
And at the end of the meal, all of a sudden, my friend and I were sitting there alone. And I looked at him. I said, "Where'd everybody go?" He says, "Black Friday." The food was still on the table.
You're kidding.
No, the food was still on the table. Everybody just got up and went to Black Friday. It's like,
Oh, my Lord.
oh, yeah.
That is ridiculous. How do you think that Christmas has changed after COVID?
Well, I think we're still in a real bounce back, a real ricochet, and I don't think it's a good one. So everybody felt like they were horribly violated. Their rights were violated. They couldn't see each other for the last 2 years of Christmas.
Yeah.
And then it's like everybody went hog wild. They're spending more money, but the economy's bad, so they can't afford to spend the money, but they're still spending more money, traveling like maniacs, and COVID is on the rise again.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going away. And if you really, really love people, why would you travel and bring COVID to them for Christmas? So I think that really getting realistic about, okay, what's really important here and how can we work around it? So like say this Thanksgiving, I was unable to go visit my sister. My sister's husband got COVID. And so they were unable to go visit my daughter who's in Wyoming. And so they had to cancel the Thanksgiving they were going to have. My son's clear up in Idaho and he couldn't travel because his job was keeping him. So we were all over the place, which isn't unusual anymore. So I started this tradition. It's the family cook-off. So we were sending pictures on our phone through text messages of my kids love my pumpkin pie. I make it from a fresh pumpkin, right? And so I busted out the pumpkin pie from the oven, took a picture and sent it. And my son says, "That does it. The gloves are off. You're going to get a picture of my smoked turkey." And that's how it all started. And pretty soon all of us were sending pictures of what we were cooking. And then the last picture was this disaster of a kitchen.
You said smoked turkey, and I could just see a raw turkey with a cigar out of its mouth. Yeah. I have way too much time on my hands sometimes.
Oh, apparently.
Yeah. What about group intention when it comes to Christmas?
Well, again, that's my main concern is when we were celebrating Christmas as a family affair and there were a few gifts just to show how much we loved each other instead of this mess we have going now.
Yeah.
The intent was to gather together. The intent was to share. The intent was to love. The intent was to be generous to those less fortunate. And so the frequency going out there from most of us was one that was very uplifting and supportive of the unified field. And now it's become so mixed up and exploited, and the people are exploited through it, that it's very hard on people psychologically. I mean, the energy is people get depressed, people get stressed out, people get freaked, and they don't know why. Well, maybe it's because I can't see my family. Well, maybe it's because I feel like I'm broke this year. No, it's because the energy going into the unified field that we're all subject to is absolute chaos. There's no agreement. And, it's those of us trying to hold the love are pushing against the tide.
If I had my way, I would not exchange Christmas gifts at all. I'm trying to understand the reasoning. Is it because we want to gain favor from the people that we send gifts to? The more the gift, the more we love them. It just to me is sending the wrong message out there. And today, kids, if you don't spend $500-$600 on a kid, you're a cheapskate. Yeah,
exactly.
My Lord.
Which kids needs more stuff? They need more love. They need more time. They need more attention. They don't need more stuff.
I often wonder why we have to buy gifts at Christmas time. I understand it represents the gifts that the three wise men brought to Christ when he was born. And that's cool. But we've gone past that, and why? I love a Christmas tree. I love Christmas decorations. I love the Christmas spirit. I love the Christmas carols. I love giving to those who are less fortunate and giving them a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up. But when it comes to even my kids, my grandchildren, they don't need anything. They've got more toys than 101 Dalmatians had dogs. It's crazy. They play with the toy for 5 minutes. Back goes to the little iPhones and the tablets. And if that ever happened when I was a kid, you get a cuff on the side of the head.
You'd end up like the Christmas angel.
Yeah. So I don't know. You know what? Well, I'm getting old. I look at the world in a totally different way than I did when I first started this show. I remember people within the UFO community. You think that Kathleen Marden was out to lunch? Oh, let me tell you. They believe, the UFO community, not everybody, but some of them, believe that Gabriel, the angel, was actually an extraterrestrial, and that Mary is the first documented case of artificial insemination by an extraterrestrial.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah. And, since we're talking about those kind of people, what about my good old buddy, Ronnie Dawson, the other day? He had sex twice with a cat alien, or an alien that looked like a cat. I'm not sure. Yeah.
That was quite the interview.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So we've got all these different theories that are coming out. Where do we draw the line? I understand there's freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Do you know you cannot legally say Merry Christmas anymore? Did you know that? It has to be Happy Holidays.
Well, and what kills me is Christmas is not a religious holiday. It's a pagan holiday. So.
There was a big furor here in St. Catharines because the city hall decided that they were going to put the nativity scene on the lawn in front of the city hall, like they have done for years. Oh, no. There were those who were not of the Christian faith who were upset because it was favoring the Christians above other beliefs. Give me a break.
Right. And like I said, it's all built on smoke and mirrors anyway.
Yeah.
It's all built on smoke and mirrors anyway. And so it goes back to, what are we putting out in the world? Are
Crap.
Exactly. When we're begrudging people celebrating their holidays, whether they're religious or otherwise, it's not our business. And that negativity, that entitlement, that it's just trashing the environment energetically, and people are suffering because of it.
It's strange. Well, I was brought up in the multicultural area of Montreal, and at Christmas time we would go over to our friends who were Greeks, our friends who were Italians, our Jewish friends, and we learned about each other's culture and how to respect the culture. And we were brought in as members of the family to learn. Right. I don't understand why this can't go on today. I mean, back then, nobody shoved it down your throat or told you couldn't have Merry Christmas on the side of a mountain, that it had to be Happy Holidays, and that it couldn't be called a Christmas tree anymore. Come on, we've gone too politically correct.
Well, we've just gone. Let's put it that way.
Let me put it this way as we go into our next break. Very simple. God damn it, it's Merry Christmas. It's called a Christmas tree. It's called a Christmas card. It's called a Christmas gift. And if you don't like it, find yourself a Christmas tree and I'll tell you where to put it. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. All righty, now here comes a shameless plug. If you like Christmas music from midnight until 7 o'clock every day, 7 o'clock in the morning, there is Christmas music on the X-Zone Broadcast Network that is brought to you with the courtesy and compliments of Beautiful Mind Coffee. All you need to do is go to www.xzbn.net and you can sing your heart away with the great Christmas carols, and they're changed every 3 days. So there you go. Merry Christmas. And you know what? I'm not a Scrooge. I'm really not a Scrooge. I just get ticked off, Gwilda, when people tell me that I cannot continue my beliefs that were here and celebrated before they even step foot off the plane on Canadian soil.
It is frustrating. It is frustrating. I know I grew up partially, part of the time when I was younger in Saudi Arabia, and we could not celebrate any of the holidays. We couldn't have a church building. We had to hold church in the movie theater. And come Christmas, all of our decorations had to be pretty subtle and indoors. And but within that, we would gather as you know, everybody was away from their families. I mean, there was the main family there, but the grandparents and everything was all stateside, and we were kind of isolated over there.
Yeah.
And it was amazing what people would do. You know, alcohol wasn't allowed over there. I know this lady would save all the frozen strawberries from the commissary because they'd come in every so often. And then she'd make strawberry wine, and we'd each give a little shot glass of it at Christmas. And we'd sit around and have a little shot glass of her strawberry wine. I mean, things like that, you know, where people come together with the spirit, with the giving spirit, with the loving spirit, with the supportive spirit, making family out of who's at hand is so important. Regardless, I think, you know, like the Swiss lady that took me to her family to share Christmas because I was going to be alone. Now that's the Christmas spirit that I would like to see.
You know where I find the Christmas spirit can be found? If you really want to find it, you go to any church, Christmas Eve service, candlelight service. You will feel the true meaning of Christmas.
It is beautiful. It's a beautiful ceremony, and everybody's in alignment with open hearts. And there you have it. It fills the whole room with this sweet energy.
The last time we were in Montreal at Christmas time, we went to the Christmas Eve service at St. Stephen's Church that was built during the war. Oh my gosh, between the English and the Indians, going back to the beginning of Canadian history. And it's a garrison church, and it's stone. It's a beautiful little church. And I'll tell you, the only lighting that was on that entire service were candles. Was just,
and that actually it comes from the pagan holiday, because they lit candles traditionally on the pagan holiday to hold light against the darkest night of the year.
And of course, that church holds a lot of my family's history. A lot of my relatives are buried in the back. My mom and dad were married there. Our children were baptized there. I was married there. Baptisms, social events, and it was Reverend Randall, who was the clergy of that church, who kicked me out of that very church when I was 13. Yeah.
Were you being a bad boy, Robert?
Well, I just asked a few questions that he couldn't answer. All I said was, well, you know, I said, let me get this straight. You've got Adam and Eve, right? He says, right. Now, Adam and Eve have 2 kids. Actually, they had 3, but we didn't get that far. Cain and Abel, right? Right.
End of the line, right?
One killed the other. So what does God do? He puts his mark on the forehead of the survivor, so no one else would touch them. I'm saying, all right, there's only 3 people at this time, 4th the most. They know what the hell's going on here. But it doesn't stop there, because the surviving brother crosses the desert, crosses the mountains to a town where he met his wife. My question, Reverend, is where the hell did they come from?
And out you go.
Oh, yeah. By the time I got home, my mother had already been told I was the son of the devil and I was not to return back to church. To get my daughter baptized, the eldest, I had to get a hold of the Archdiocese of the Anglican Church in Quebec and explain my case. And I took them out for a nice, I forget who it was, but I took them out for a nice dinner at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in the Revolving Restaurant. We had a nice discussion. And I was welcomed back with open arms. Yay.
Yay.
I often wonder if my parents having their own pew had anything to do with it.
Well, there's always the influences, isn't there? And I'm sure the dinner didn't hurt a thing.
Oh, no. They were really great. And we had a great discussion. And they apologized for the way I was treated.
Fantastic.
That like all I was doing was, I think it was the Archbishop said, what it shows me, Rob, is that you read the Bible.
Exactly. And then you get punished for it, right?
Yeah, I've read the Bible about 9 or 10 times. I have our family Bible that goes back to the early 1800s here.
Yes,
it's
I guess
leather
that's
bound.
quite the thing. That's the Irish side, right?
That's right. And then I also have the Marian Bible. And that's a topic for a whole other show. You and I have got to say so long for tonight, Gwilda. Is there any final thoughts that you would like to share with us when it comes to Christmas?
Absolutely. The spirit that Christmas holds comes from us. And if we can realign with our heart and bring that to the world, it'll live forever. And if we can't, it's going to take us out. So I say, Merry Christmas. May all the love be with you.
To you, my friend, a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
And I wish you nothing but the very best peace, love, harmony, and spirituality for the year 2023.
And to you as well, my friend.
Merry Christmas, Gwilda.
Merry Christmas, Rob.
All right, Exo Nation, I'll be back on the other side of this short break. Elena Lieberman is joining us. We're going to be talking about Akashic Records here in the X-Zone as we continue from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.